Good morning, everybody. Yes, Astra. Yeah. Good morning to you too. You gonna come join me? Come on. Come on. Are you gonna join me? No, you're just gonna flick your tail at me? No. Where's that? Come here. Hey, come here. I guess she's gonna be shy today. You do know I need to put my teacup down. Good morning, everyone. I have a card here to remember what I'm going to say. It is Friday, December 8th at 6:47 in the morning, and we are in the wheel cycle of tide of preparation between fall equinox and winter solstice. I'd love for you to subscribe and hit the bell icon. That does help the algorithm. I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. We are up to 120 subscribers. Hooray! That is up pretty much 20 in the last 2 months. So share these with your friends. It really does help. Okay, so we're going to dive into today's cards. The first card I have is from the Animal Spirit Guidebook. And this is Crow. We drew on Crow today. Spiritually strong, creative, and watchful. The crow has long been the symbol of magic. A crow personality is drawn to the supernatural and has a gift for seeing the unseen, knowing the unknown. It is said that the crow holds within its mind's eye the three realities: past, present, and future. Crow energy is potent and should be tapped into when the mind is clear. These with crow tendencies must balance their lives with a healthy diet, joyful friends, and regular self-study. When in balance, psychic, strong, clear. When out of balance, ungrounded, hypersensitive. To bring into balance, daily meditation practice. Wonderful. Okay, let's see what Kuan Yin pulled today. Princess of Purity leaps across. Oh, I don't see any yaks in this card. There's yaks in most of them. I have such faith in you that I have placed what appears to be an obstacle in your way. It is actually a stepping stone that will help you rise. If there are no challenges, how would you gain trust and confidence in yourself? Through my grace, I am giving you an invisible boost. You shall leap over this obstacle with such lightness of heart and foot, you shall then believe that anything is possible. During a challenge, trusting in the divine grace is so helpful. Perhaps you hope for the best, wanting to trust that goodness in people would somehow win through and turn a mess into opportunity for healing. But perhaps the situation didn't quite work out as well as you had hoped. Or maybe you feel everyone is doing their best, but something is still blocking the way to the resolution and healing. The oracle of Princess of Purity leaps across arises when there is something of an obstacle or challenge that you're growing through. It may be creating an inner sense of unease or discomfort that you feel but cannot quite explain. The good news is that you are being blessed with an empowerment of grace. You are going to be given the power to overcome the obstacle. If you are locked in a decision-making process that you want to find a way out of the gridlock in your mind, or with that of another, this oracle brings you guidance. There is another way, another option that you have not yet accessed consciously. Keep your heart and mind open, relax, and it will come to you. Don't lock yourself into a decision. See what unfolds. Act when you feel you need to act, and rest when you need to rest. This is a really simple card. I really like this. Really good card. So if you take Crow in with that, spiritually strong, creative, watchful. The crow personality is drawn to the supernatural, a gift for seeing the unseen and the knowing the unknown, holding the past, present, and future. Can be tapped, should and it can be tapped into when your mind is clear. Those with crow tendencies must balance their lives with a healthy diet, joyful friends, and regular self-study. I think these are two really good combos. I think what comes to mind first when I'm putting these two cards together is I think we all get to a place sometimes when we have this thing we need to do, and it can seem like a really big thing. Like, you have to have a chunk of time for it, or that um, there are 5 million options for the outcome of that decision, right? So I think I've talked about it before, but I don't remember what day it was, but maybe it was yesterday. Wow, yesterday was a really long day. I had a migraine all day long, and I still have little vestiges of this migraine still. It's not completely gone. So I'm hoping that it will pass by later. um, but lists. So I make lists of things. I like to, and I don't make lists like, I think I drove people when I was younger absolutely crazy. I had a couple teachers that were very much like, make lists, make lists. And I'm like, okay, I'll make lists. And they end up just words, like lists of things in columns. Sometimes it's just a jumble and looks like a word map that somebody forgot to draw the lines on to connect anything. Um, because getting it out clarifies it for me. So getting the energy moving, transmuting the energy of my mind, all the stuff that's stuck up here, all the thoughts, getting them out. It doesn't have to be tidy and neat. It just needs to be out to get the energy moving. And sometimes when I make lists, like I'm stuck in something, or there's an obstacle, or I'm trying to tap into my guides, I'm trying to listen to the jumble of what is noise to get clarity from that if I'm having trouble with something. And I certainly have trouble with stuff. It's not like I have all the answers all the time. I really don't. But what I will do is writing lists helps me get that energy flowing, getting it out. And then sometimes what I'll do is I'll do like a little small embroidery, something a little small, just to be able to focus on something else. And then I'll come back to my list. And crow is very important. Crow is the balance of the mind, like the stillness of the mind. All the words are out. Once they're out, I trust that they're out. If more ideas or more thoughts come, I continue to write them down. And I get to a place where my mind is calmer. My mind and my emotions are not tangled in whatever it is, like anxiety or fear or worry or um, disappointment or shame or confusion. I get a lot of just confusion. It's not even shame, disappointment, or fear. It's just confusion. And getting it out then helps me find my way towards clarity by doing something else to then come back to it. One of the things that I learned many years ago that I've tried really hard to implement in the last 10, 15 years is not letting people push me when I know that I can't be pushed to an action or a decision. Um, Now, when I was younger, I did. I let people push me. I let people push me into making decisions or um, making statements before I was ready. And I've learned that when people ask me questions, or I actually had an instance not but a couple weeks ago, and somebody said, "What do you think, Red?" And there was a whole group of people there, and they were all looking at me, and they're like, "Red, what do you think, Red?" And I said, "Well, I don't know right now." And they were like, "Oh, well, we want we don't." I can't remember what it was, but something like, "Well, we can't wait," or "We'll come back to you in 10 minutes," or something. And I said, "Well, no, I think this is a decision I'm going to have to wait a little bit on." And they were like, "Well, we have to make a decision today. We have to make a decision today or tomorrow." And okay, well, how about tomorrow? I'll help tomorrow. Like I'll give my input tomorrow. And I got pushback from the group. And I was like, now is not the time. I know you think it's the time, but it is not the time for me to make that decision. And it was correct, because the next afternoon, when I was still like, I'm not sure, new information came in from an outside source that pivoted the whole decision-making process into another day. So obstacles are not always an obstacle. Obstacles are sometimes a pause point in the moment or in the interaction of what needs to be done to make you slow down enough to feel your way through what to do next. I was actually talking to a national number 6 the other day, and she clarified for me that sometimes national number 6s will make very quick decisions, but get frozen and won't necessarily know what decision to make if they don't have all the information. And I think that's very much what I'm talking about. Like, crow energy and obstacle energy and knowing where to move forward sometimes can only come if you're grounded, if you're centered, and if you allow the information to come at you in the right time. If you feel reticence or resistance to making a decision, it could be, one, you need to anchor into your natural number, feel into the situation. It could be, two, you don't have all the information. Three, your brain squirrels are running around crazy like, and you should get some of it out. There's so many different ways of looking at it. And natural number 7s are a really good example of all of the knowing so well all of the possibilities. Is good for me, is it good for the world, things like that, that they forget that sometimes what they think is dread is actually just waiting for more information or needing to get their connection to the universe grounded a little bit better. Astra, get down off of there. Hey, Astra, get down. Yes, you should not be on the counter. Astra. I have no idea what's gotten into her. She's been on the counter a lot the last couple of days. Get down. Get down. Yeah, get down. Good girl. You shouldn't be on the counter. You know better. I'm gonna have to wash the counter again. So there's a lot going on with these two cards. It's a lot more than it seems, right? There was something else that I read in the Kuan Yin Princess one. I wanted to go back to that because I just had a little niggling in the back of my head. There was something else. If there were no challenges, how would you gain trust and confidence in yourself and in me? So that's the other thing. When you're starting to listen to, I think I had this discussion yesterday. When you're starting to listen to Crow, and Crow is past, present, future, the Crow energy, the knowingness, the psychicness, the intuition, learning to trust your intuition through the obstacles that come at you is a powerful tool. Learning to pay attention to what is that niggling feel like? Is it a stopping point of niggling? Is it a movement point of niggling? Is it a push, go? Is it a pull, tug? Is it a wait, a pause point? Just sit and be. There's so many layers of how our intuition and our gifts talk to us. I've talked a lot about energy sensitivity because I am an energy sensitive, empathy, and earth sense. And you take those three and they all have these amazing, powerful abilities. And then if you have any that are overlapping, or you have all three, or you have one of the three or two of the three, they manifest with different kinds of gifts in different ways. And I'll just talk about intuition first, or only today, probably just intuition. But when you're learning to trust your intuition through Crow and through the obstacles that come at you, that's where I was going with this. So for example, say you go to start your car and the battery dies. Can't get your car going. Now, if you're anything like me, the first thing that goes through your mind is, shit, how am I going to get to work? Or how am I going to get to the appointment I have scheduled? Or, oh my God, now I'm going to be late. And there's a little bit of a fear panic that kicks in, right? Like, am I going to disappoint somebody? Am I going to lose a client? Am I going to be charged by my doctor because I didn't show up? Whatever the thing is, right? Or am I going to lose my job because I don't show up on time? Am I going to get a bad mark in my calendar or in my file? So all those things can bubble up, right? One thing that I've learned about car batteries first thing in the morning is there's always a reason. Every time the car battery dies, there's a reason. And the reason is usually something I know nothing about in that moment. So that's the obstacle. I'm going to use a really simple explanation. That's the obstacle. The ego, the fear in the moment, is all those thoughts that run through my head. So there's things I can do, which I can call my insurance so that they can call and send somebody to jump my car because I have that in my insurance plan. I could call my husband and have him come from work and pick me up and take me somewhere, but I'm not going to do that first. I'm going to call the jump person. And I know that I've got 2 hours before that person's going to show up because never in my life have they ever shown up underneath 2 hours. So first thing I do is I call my appointments or whatever, and I say, you know what, let's just reschedule. I don't even panic anymore. Like it's just, let's just reschedule. Used to, when I had a job that I worked for other people, like on a regular Monday through Friday schedule, I got to the point where I would just call them and say, I'm not going to be in until after lunch. I might not even get in today. Depends on the battery situation. And I let it go. And usually within an hour or two of the battery dying, we get moving on it. You know, the obstacle starts to be solving itself. But in the meantime, something bubbles up that lets me know why the battery died. One time, many years ago, before I had this amazing calm about the whole situation, because I really didn't for a long time, it was because we had a, uh, not an active shooter at the school that I was working at, but we did have the school shut down because somebody had reported somebody had a weapon at the school. And at the time, I had one of my kiddos was still living with me, and if the school had gotten shut down, I wouldn't have been able to. Um, it was one of those instances where the battery died uh, at home, and so I had somebody. It just worked out where I could still go get my son from daycare and take him to his appointment and come back. It seems like a really drastic obstacle to have so that I could get my son to a doctor, but he had a raging ear infection. And so it was really important that I get him to the doctor and then get back to school. And with the battery dying, the doctor was only like 3 blocks away from my house, but the school was on the other side of town. So it all kind of worked out. But at the time, I didn't know why the battery had not worked in my car. So I was a mess that day. I did not have calm, but it was a lesson. It was a lesson of an opportunity for me to learn the calm and the self-confidence of my intuition. Because I woken up that morning knowing that I really need to focus on Taliesin, my son. I needed to not worry about school that day as much, but I had the double burden of being a single mom, a young child, you know, full day of classes, just all of these obstacles. So Crow and Princess of Purity leaps across is are the cards that are very much about learning to use the obstacles and trust the obstacles, that they are part of the lesson. They are part of the journey of learning to pay attention to your intuition. And when those obstacles come up, they're for a reason. There's nothing random about it. I had one battery die experience where apparently I have a lot of these, so just take that with with whatever I do. I have battery problems with my cars. I'm an energy sensitive. Did I mention that? So I had one where it actually worked out really well that I was working at a medical clinic, and the person that came in, or that was scheduled for the blood draw for that day, um, was in a really bad place, and it was really good that I wasn't there because the doctor did the blood draw, and the doctor picked up on the signs and symptoms that I wouldn't have picked up on, and that person ended up getting extra medical care that I would maybe not have been, well, I know I'm not qualified for. So it all worked out, even though to the people around me it was a very irritating day for my battery to die. There's always a reason, and it's always a lesson, and it's always something you can grow from. So look at the obstacles in front of you as the lesson, and learn to lean into Crow, past, present, future. Get all of the things that are in the squirrel brain out on paper. Use the tools you have to calm the mind, to look at what the lesson might be, and find the confidence to listen to your intuition when it speaks. And I think these are really powerful cards today. I think they're a good one to land on a Friday. So does anybody have any questions? I know I've got 3 people watching right now. Hit the thumbs up. Give me any comments or questions you have. I know that next week there's a day I'm going to use a banked recorded daily devotional. I think I have one day that I have a really early day. So there will be 5 daily devotions next week. Just one of them won't be live. It'll be a pre-recorded that will pop up. If you watch these over the weekend, if you're somebody who catches up to these over the weekend, just put your comments. Just really, I encourage you to put comments in. I really do enjoy reading them. I love it when people put things in. The interaction helps the algorithm. It helps it pop up so that there's some traction for these. I am really hoping to hit 500 here in the next year. Oh, hello, Astra. I guess she did want to join us after all. Astra has been very playful this morning. Oh my goodness. She has kicked the soccer ball. We have these little foam rubbery soccer balls that we toss, and she leaps up in the air. She'll leap 4 or 5 feet up in the air and catch them. And she's been kicking one around this morning, and I threw it for her, and she brought me another one. She doesn't really bring like play fetch, where she brings them all back to me, but she will kick them towards me and say, "Hey, play with me, Mom." She's absolutely adorable. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Anyway, so I'm thinking about doing, if you're interested, I'd love to know, again, put your comments in if you catch this. I'd be interested in to see if anybody would want to do like an Instagram live quick psychic read type thing. I've seen a couple of them go live before with other people, and I was wondering if you would be interested in that. I don't know if it's something that y'all want, and if you don't want it, I'm not going to do it. It's okay. I don't have to do what everybody else does. I hope you all have a beautiful day. I hope these cards help you today. I hope they help you know, your gifts matter. The obstacles in front of you are your lessons sometimes, and they don't have to be that hard. You can find the calm, find the center, and it can be a positive thing. It doesn't have to be a squirrel brain negative thing. So I will see you next week. Have a blessed weekend, and I will see you in prayer. Blessed be.